All right, guys, ladies and gents, welcome. This is your first time here, by the way. I am Diego Rodriguez, and I will be your host for the evening, guys, and welcome to our channel where I teach you guys financial freedom, right? All the different strategies that I use to generate income month after month, week after week, like clockwork, okay? And that's what our channel is all about, right? So, but this video series here is where we're diving into dividend stocks, and I'm teaching you guys how to get paid dividend income every week of every month for the rest of your lives, all right? So if you guys are brand new, if this is the first time you're checking us out, guys, quick little bit of housekeeping. I always appreciate your feedback, guys, so please, if you don't mind, give us that thumbs up, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and that little bell, right? That way you guys get notified the next time we come out with our new and amazing videos, all about, teaching you guys the different strategies that I implement for you guys to be able to reach financial freedom. Because the secret at the end of the day, guys, the secret to financial freedom, right, is learning how to generate multiple streams of income, okay? But in this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to get paid dividend income every week of every month for the rest of your lives. So let's get it. Alright, guys, so if you're just tuning in, all right, make sure you guys check out the other videos, right? Because this is going to be the third part of this dividend stock series. All right, so if you guys just go up to the tabs inside our channel, right, and check out the playlist, this is going to be under dividend income, and this is going to be the third part of the series, right? The reason I keep saying that is because as I'm jumping in here, I'm going to start revealing to you guys the stocks that I picked for the month of March, right? So you guys might be getting a little bit lost in the weeds. If you guys don't understand what I'm getting at here, then make sure you check out the first two videos of this series, right? Because what I'm teaching you guys is that I crossed out these other months, right? Or these other quarters of the year, because technically when we're purchasing dividend stocks that pay, quarterly, right? Again, this is my brick and mortar strategy. And when I'm talking about the stocks that pay out quarterly, I'm talking about my bricks, right? So again, guys, if you have no idea what I'm getting at here, guys, please make sure you check out the other videos. I'll put a link up here somewhere to make sure you guys are able to go check out the first video that's breaking down the exact strategy and process that I'm putting into place, right? Like right now, I'm just going to go right ahead and start sharing all the stocks that I own in the month of March, right? If you watched the part 2 of this series, I broke down all the stocks that I have for the month of February, because anything that I do in the month of February is a quarterly paying stocks, right? So automatically I already know it's going to follow the same pattern, right? Meaning like whatever paid out in February is going to pay out in May, and then it's going to pay out in August, and then again in November, right? So that's why I shared with you guys February. That way you guys had enough time to pick up your stocks, right, before the ex-dividend date strikes, right? So if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, please make sure you watch the other videos, right? So again, right, whatever happens in February is going to follow the same pattern. So that's why today I'm going to share with you the stocks that I have in March, because technically any quarterly paying stocks that I chose for the month of March is again going to pay out in June, it's going to pay out in September, and then again in December, right? So right now we're still in April, right? So that's why I want to give you guys enough time for you guys to jump in there and start scooping up the shares and implement them in your own strategies, right? Because at the end of the day, what I'm sharing with you guys, what I would love us to do is like build a community where you guys share what stocks you would pick, right? Just because I picked a certain stock, like let's say for example, you see like J&J, Johnson & Johnson, like we all know, like in the recent news, right? Like Johnson & Johnson is beginning a little bit of slack because, you know, the vaccines, they're having like a few problems with the vaccines, like the COVID vaccines, people are getting complications and stuff. So the stock took a little bit of hit, but if you guys take a look at the price, like let's jump to the price right now, right? Like we left off in our last video with Artesian Resources Corp, right? But if we check out Johnson & Johnson, right, it's still pretty high. It's still at 162, right? Right now it's still at 162. So even though it got hit with like the vaccines being recalled and everything, it didn't take a big drop. And remember, my whole strategy, I could care less if the price of the stock goes up, right? I want the price to come down. That way I can scoop up more shares, right? The name of the game is about scooping up shares, more shares, more shares. Because the more shares I have, the more dividends I'm going to get paid, okay? And remember, that old strategy, I keep telling you, that little snowball strategy. When we're first starting out, right, all we're trying to do is build momentum. Let that little snowball start building, building, building. Before you know it, guys, this thing takes off. It has a mind of its own, right? So again, my brick and mortar strategy, guys, does not revolve or count on the fact that the price of the stock may go up, right? I could care less. Like, I really want the stock, especially when I'm starting out trying to build my little brick and mortar wall, right? I want the stock prices to be relatively low, right? So if we take a look at our 52-week timeline, right, as far as like what's the price of the stock for the last 52 weeks, we check it out here, we can see that Johnson & Johnson, right, the price is still relatively high, right? So what I'm hoping is that it does come down. That way I could pick up more shares at a better price, right? So guys, if the prices of the stock goes up, that's just icing on the cake, right? Remember, this is not only is this going to benefit you in the short term, but it's going to benefit you also in the long term, okay? The second video of this series, guys, I showed you, right, like where this thing really takes off is in like year 15 to year 20 if you follow all the criteria how I select each individual stock. So, but again, guys, I would highly recommend, you know, encourage you guys to share with me what stocks you would pick and what, you know, like what stocks would you, like instead of picking maybe Artesian Resources, like what stock would you have put in its place, right? There are other great companies out there, but remember, everything's got to fit into my criteria, right? I'm putting layers upon layers to not only safeguard me in bad times, but also with that long-term strategy in mind of slowly building that my little snowball, right? But of course, right, what I'm teaching you using this strategy, you can start collecting dividend income weekly, right? That's why I set up my portfolio in the way that I have. So that being said, let's start revealing some goodies, right? So you guys already know I picked Johnson & Johnson, right? Johnson & Johnson is like my all-time favorite stock, guys. Because like even with this hit, even with the like the vaccine recalls and all that, Johnson & Johnson's been around for so long and it's so much involved in different like, you know, drugs and pharmaceuticals and all kind of like healthcare products and all that, guys, that any hit that the company takes, it's got so much cash flow that it can sustain and maintain and continue growing, right? And that's like perfectly marks off like all my criterias, right? So if you guys are curious about my criteria, how I select each individual stock, guys, please make sure you watch video number 2. Part 2, I broke down specifically the criteria, how I select each individual stock to fit into my brick and mortar strategy, right? So now I'm going to go into March, right? Which technically is going to pay out in June, right? So for March, which is my third month of the quarter, right? I hope I'm not losing. This is the third month of the quarter. So each third month would be June, then again September, and then December, right? Is when they're going to keep paying out. So this is going to be the third month. The first week, all right, is Enbridge. Stock symbol EMB. Okay, so let's go. Let's go check it out. All right, so EMB. It's Enbridge. This is another one of these companies that's been around for a long time and has been paying out dividends for decades, guys. Like I think it's over almost, I want to say 30 years now, maybe 40. All right, this is one of the ones that are like those dividend aristocrats are what they're called, right? So again, guys, you can see this one is in the energy sector, right? Oil and gas. Remember, like another layer to my strategy is diversifying in different industries, right? So let's go check out the calendar. As you can see, it's a reasonable price, right? It's only $37.39, right? And the dividend yield is 7%, right? So that's a great dividend yield. But as you can see, of course, even though it's on the high mark, it's still at a reasonable price, right? So let's go to the calendar, right? We're going to check out the dates, right? Remember the two most important dates. Number one is the ex-dividend date. You got to own this stock before this date in order to cash in the next time they're going to pay out, which is the pay date, right? So as you can see, like we're so much ahead of the schedule right now that the last time, right, was May 14th of last year, right? So technically I can kind of assume like close to that date, like so May 14th of 2021 of this year will probably be the next ex-dividend date. So as long as I own this stock before that date, I'm able to cash in June 1st, which is the pay date when they're going to actually pay out the dividend for this quarter, right? Let's continue, right? So far we got week 1 of the 3rd month of the quarter, right? Which is March, right? Hope I'm not losing you guys, right? And of course, week number 2 of March, I already said it was Johnson & Johnson, right? All right, now drum roll, next stock. Week number 3, right? Week number 3 is the one and only, guys. If you guys don't know, one of the wealthiest industries in the market, believe it or not, guys, is insurance. Guys, insurance, and I'm talking about like life insurance. Of course, we know auto insurance, home insurance, insurance. We need like pretty much insurance for everything, right? But especially life insurance. Like if you guys seen some of the other videos, guys, that if you guys see like some of these millionaires, like the way they hide their money, well, not hide their money, but the way they safeguard their money and like continue to pass on legacy of inheritance and all that, guys, is through life insurance. There's like a whole other strategy to do that, but that's a topic for another day, guys. But what I'm getting at, MFC is another one. And again, like I always tell you, right, I'm diversifying within different industries, right? So MFC is Manulife Financial Corp, right? And as you can see here, guys, it's in the financials, and like this is like the main industry, and then kind of like the sub market within the industry is insurance. So that's why I did my little spill about insurance. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Diversify. So this was in financials, okay? And this one is gonna pay out, right? Ex-dividend date. So probably somewhere around May 18th of this year, 2021, right? Again, like all I'm doing is just doing like an educated guess, right? Of when it's gonna be the next ex-dividend date. And then it pays out on that 3rd week, right? June 19th. And again, remember, guys, some of these dates, as you can see, is not always on the same day because the market is open Monday through Friday. So if the date happens to land on a weekend, then they're probably going to either pay you that Friday or that following Monday, right? Common sense, okay? All right, so continuing on, guys. And as you can see, look, it's at 21.59. So this is another reasonably, I can't even say that. Am I saying that? Reasonably priced stock for you guys, especially for those of you getting started, right? And you're trying to work with the small amount that you're trying to invest, guys. Remember, I always relate it to my little snowball effect, right? Start out slow, and slowly start building your snowball, right? I know there are other brokerages out there that let you start with a lot less, but TD Ameritrade, you know, forces you to start or to open up an account with a minimum of $1,000. So if all you have is $1,000, then maybe, you know, I keep telling you this, then maybe just grab 3 stocks, like one in every month of the quarter. That way, you know, bare minimum, at least you're able to, you know, pick up dividends every month for the rest of the year, right? But what I'm trying to teach you here is how you set it up. That way you get paid every week of every month for the rest of your life, right? But we all start out wherever we can. The whole point is getting started, okay? That's all that really matters. You guys got to start where you can, okay? So if you're just starting out, then maybe just pick up 3 stocks. Pick up 3 stocks. And again, that's why I keep like hinting at like, hey, MFC is reasonably priced, right? So if you're starting out with 1,000, then this might be a good stock to buy because it's only what, $21.59, right? Is the price right now. And look at it, the dividend yield is at 4%, right? That's pretty good, right? And of course, as you can see here, right, even though the 52-week range, right, meaning like this whole year from now to past 52 weeks, right, is at the high mark, right? And of course, like pretty much all the stocks, like right now, the stock market is pretty much at a high point, right? So everybody's speculating, thinking like, hey, the bubble's gonna pop and all that. And to be truth be told, I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping that the prices come back down. That way I can just scoop up more shares and just keep growing my little snowball. Keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, right? The name of the game is scooping up more shares of stock, right? All right, so last but not least for today, right? Drum roll. Guys, last but not least is BIP. BIP is another one of these stocks, another one of these industries, especially right now, because one of the things that the government is talking about investing in, right, happens to be infrastructure. Like if we've been around for a while, we know like some of these roads and some of these bridges, like, you know, are kind of suspect, you know. So a lot of these constructions and roads and bridges and tunnels have been around like before World War II, you know. So it's time that we start investing in this country's infrastructure. So ex-dividend date, right? You see here, last year was May 28th, right? So it usually pays the end of the month, right? June 30th, right? So this is going to be our 4th week of the 3rd month within the quarter, okay? So again, let's go back. Let's check it out. Let's check out the summary here. As you can see, it's at the 52-week high, right? And the dividend yield is 3.70, right? If you guys remember, another criteria is on average, out of all my stocks portfolio, the average mark of where I want to start, starting yield is 4.7% dividend yield, right? So of course, some stocks are going to be higher than that, and some stocks are going to be below. But as long as my average hits about 4.7, and I already know that these stocks have a history of growing the dividends, then I'm good, right? I'm steering my ship towards the direction of hitting my 6 times my investment mark, meaning like whatever money I put in, I want 6 times growth after year 15 or 20, right? Because where this thing really takes off, and what I'm talking about here is compound interest, right? Name of the game is always compound interest, right? That's where the real secret is. But we can also cash in now, right? Because my whole brick and mortar strategy is built around you guys cashing in weekly dividend income over and over again for the rest of your life. So if you're facing downtimes or hardship, right, like this pandemic, if you guys are facing bad times, then you can always use these dividends, right, to pay the bills. So not only is this beneficial in the short term, but again, it's beneficial where this thing really takes off is in the long term, right? So if you guys got kids, grandkids, or even as a retirement strategy, you can implement this strategy to cash in and grow, like for your kids, like, because remember, it always takes off year 15, 20. So if you have young kids, right, that's the perfect timing for them to start going into college, right? So this is a perfect investment strategy to help them build that little nest egg for their college expenses or their education, right? And it also pays off for you when it comes time for you to retire, depending what age you are, right? So whether or not you got 30 or more years until you retire, or maybe you only have 10 years, or maybe you already retired, this still benefits you, right? Because you can just implement this strategy within your retirement accounts or open up a regular account and always have access to the money, because this is going to pay out weekly over and over again like clockwork, right? But if you're just starting out with a small investment, guys, start out slowly, right? Believe it or not, it's all about building that little snowball. Before you know it, guys, this thing takes off and you're cashing in, right? Because your first goal should be having enough shares of stock to be able to feed the monster, right? Let the monster pay for itself, right? Every time you get paid dividends, you reinvest the dividends, right? But not only that, you also want to keep adding more money, right? That way, you kind of like nudge this along, and that little snowball starts picking up even more momentum even faster, right? So next video is going to be all the stocks I own for the first month of the quarter, right? Which is going to be January, and then again April, then again July, and then again in October. So that way you guys will have more than enough time to cash in before July, okay? So guys, that being said, guys, again, I always encourage you guys to please leave me feedback below. Let me know what stocks you would pick, what stocks you have in your own portfolio, and, you know, encourage the growth of our channel here, guys. Please, by all means, please subscribe, guys. We're already at 500 strong. So the first goal, guys, is to get the 1,000 subscriber mark, all right? So I highly encourage you guys to please help us in our pursuit to continue the growth of our channel, all right? So that being said, like I always tell my students, at the end of the day, whenever in doubt, trust your gut, follow your heart, better yourself, and double down. This is Diego Rodriguez signing out. Peace, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Be safe.